Can I ask one parting shot, Carl?
Sure, go ahead, Rick.
I would just ask you to speak on the GED as it relates to the black male, and I'll hang up and listen.
Yes, sir, and I'm glad you brought that up. The GED has changed. We got a new GED on New Year's Day, which we talked about right here on the Carl Nelson Show when the new year rolled around at the beginning of 2014. So it's a year old now, but this new GED is making it very, very difficult for African-American children and boys. Community colleges have a big problem with it because, as you know, a lot of our community colleges have programs for non-traditional students who dropped out of high school, but they want to get their diploma or GED and then go ahead into college, and it's very difficult because a lot of them can't get the GED, which is required for community college. So now the community colleges are almost out of reach for a lot of our children because the GED has been linked to the new Common Core standard, this new national set of educational outcomes, which is making it just as difficult to pass the GED as it is to pass the mandatory high school graduation test that more than half of American states have. All of this is being designed to push black people out of the economic order, to make black men even more irrelevant to the process of America, so that their incarceration and extermination is not viewed as a social issue because it doesn't affect anybody's economic or political outcome. And as this is going on, let us not be remiss in reminding everyone that President Obama is about to make it worse. He's about to bring 5 million immigrants into America. 5 million. Why is Obama doing it? He's doing it for corporate America. So that way they do not have to hire black males in order to run their corporation. They will be able to hire the Mexicans and Latinos that Obama is fighting for more than he fights for black folk while he ignores black people. So we're witnessing the further pushing down of black people in the American economic order to ultimately render us totally irrelevant to America as a whole. When you look at it right now, Carl, the only thing saving black folks right now, security jobs, the airport transportation jobs, in the public sector, school, police, government workers. Once the public government begins to downsize their employees, black folk will be in a world of hell. And Obama is helping them do it by bringing all these Mexicans and Latinos into America, and black leaders are not holding him accountable at all. Obama's name hasn't come up yet as it relates to dealing with the crisis facing black people.
But the president, somebody tweeted this. He says he's asking, trying to push through free education, college, community college, we used to call it, education.
We just got finished talking about the fact that the college degree isn't guaranteeing nobody anything. How is that help? Obama is giving immigrants jobs, but he's sending black people to college. Okay? Look at the disparity. They're getting economic opportunity, and he's giving us a meaningless degree. That is nonsense. That's the same thing I had to say for Oprah Winfrey. Somebody tweeted Oprah, this was a couple months ago, somebody tweeted Oprah, what are you doing to help black people because you have a lot of money and you're giving out a lot of awards to these white women on your show. And Oprah said, well, I'm putting black people through college. Oprah, that's not good enough. Black people don't need a meaningless, worthless piece of paper. Black people need jobs. Build some industries, Oprah. Oprah, build some industries. Jay-Z, build some industries. Bob Johnson, we need economic opportunity. Carl, the purpose of college is to prepare one for economic opportunity. College doesn't do that anymore. So we have to stop talking about college and start talking about jobs, living wage jobs that do not necessarily require a college education.
800-450-7876. Speak to Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's go to Mayhem in Indiana. Mayhem, you're on with Dr. Umar.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, brother, you're so right on point. Hey, I was born in Alaska. Could you talk about, I don't know what part you was in. I forgot what part I was in, where it's 6 months daylight and 6 months dark. The high, I'm trying to say suicide, and there's a shortage every kind of women down there. And also, could you talk about dealing with the prisoner pipeline, how that was man-made, and also dealing with the children, putting them on Ritalin and stuff, how the children, they get checks get them checks to put them kids on them pills and stuff. You talk about it for me, and I take it up there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hang on a second, Umar. We're going to take our last look at traffic, and I'll let you finish on the other side. Folks, you too can join our conversation with Dr. Umar Johnson. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876. That's 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls in less than 4 minutes right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power. And thank you for staying with us now, guys, to Dr. Umar Johnson. Again, the number to call to speak to Dr. Umar, 800-450-7876. Dr. Umar, I'm going to let you respond to Mayhem's put a load on your plate.
Yes. Well, first I wanted to let them know that I'm in Anchorage, and it is true that it is dark 6 months out the year here in Alaska, but not during this time of year. I've been having regular daylight and regular evening time. But he did hit on something that's very relevant to African people, and that is something that's known in psychology as SAD, or SAD, which represents seasonal affective disorder, and it speaks to the relationship between a lack of sunlight and an increase in melancholy, depression, and in many cases suicide. And the Pacific Northwest, where I am right now, is the section of this country that has the highest percentage of suicide. I believe Seattle, Washington leads the entire country in the amount of suicide. And as you know, Seattle, Washington, you get very little direct sunlight. The same thing is true here in Alaska as well. So it speaks to us as African people, being a tropical people, and needing sunlight for our natural happiness, to basically present itself. And that's why when black people feel depressed, most of us tend to get depressed around this time of year, the winter. It is very important that we take vitamin D supplement. We have to take our vitamin D supplement because we're not getting it directly from the sun. And as a result of that, a lot of black people are vitamin D deficient. We need more than everyone else because of our melanin, our pineal gland, and our increased risk of suffering from depression by virtue of not having enough sunlight. So if you find yourself being depressed during the winter, which is true for most black folk, it's because you need to either take a vacation and get some sunlight. A lot of us can't do that because we work. So at the very least, you need to increase the amount of vitamin D that you take between the months of October and April. Very important that black people do that. And as far as the checks that parents get to put their children on drugs, it's important to understand that the check doesn't come before the drug. The check comes after the drug. So that means the child has to be evaluated and diagnosed with a disruptive behavior disorder first by the psychiatrist or psychiatrist, and then prescribed the medicine by the psychiatrist. And then the parent, once the child has been diagnosed, the parent can then apply for Social Security disability income. Social Security disability income. That's the check that we're talking about that comes, but it's not automatic. It's important to keep in mind that you do not automatically qualify for Social Security disability income just because your child is in special ed or just because your child is diagnosed with ADHD. And the reason that is called is because the government is claiming that too many black parents are actually taxing the system of Social Security by applying for benefits by virtue of these meaningless disorders. In other words, here's the irony, Carl. The irony is the government is the one that sanctions the ADHD and the learning disabilities, but at the same time, even the government is saying that ADHD and learning disabilities in many cases are a bunch of nonsense, and they're only putting these on black boys, basically to label them so they can marginalize them. So the government is talking out both sides of its mouth. Because on the one hand, ADHD is real, learning disabilities is real, special ed is necessary, Ritalin and psychiatric meds is necessary, but then on the other hand, they're reducing the amount of black parents who qualify for the Social Security income as a result of the diagnosis by claiming that they're frivolous. So the government has to make up its mind. Either ADHD is fraud or ADHD is not a fraud. You can't say it's real in the scientific community and then go tell black parents it's not real for the purposes of getting a check. So the government is being caught in its own hypocrisy as it relates to ADHD and special education.
All right, 800-450-7876. And are you going to have classes for adults too? Because, a lot of our adults need some help as well.
Oh, yes, we're going to have a continuing education program that's going to be off the hook. And we just don't want to give the adult a philosophical education, a liberal arts education. We also want to be able to equip them with some of the same skills that their sons are getting. So as the son might be working, on plumbing, we want to have it set up where the adult could actually get their certification in plumbing. So now you have a community college alongside the grade school. So we don't plan to stop at all. We want to start start with the grade school, but then you ultimately want to have so many different programs that the school becomes the center of the community. Because one of the paradigms we have to shift, Carl, in this 150th year of freedom, believe it or not, I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about that. You know, we celebrated 50 years of Brown versus Board and 50 years of the 65 Civil Rights Bill, but what about the fact that this year, 2015, December, we'll be celebrating 100, or at least remembering 150 years since the end of slavery. This is the year. This is our 150th year since the passage of the 13th Amendment. So a lot of reflection needs to be had this year, and a lot of, I think, perspective shifting needs to be had this year, and a lot of paradigm reconstructing needs to be had this year. The school needs to be the center of the community, not the church. It should be the school.